Welcome to this introduction to Elvis DAM. Elvis exists to enable you to get the most out of your digital assets. For example, Elvis makes your assets smarter through the application of metadata, making them easier for your teams to locate, archive, and repurpose for multiple publishing channels. Elvis makes it easier to share, distribute, and syndicate your content so that you can generate the maximum amount of ROI. Elvis is a highly scalable, enterprise-grade digital asset management solution that enables you to manage hundreds of millions of digital assets quickly and efficiently. There's no back-end database to impose scalability limitations. Elvis uses file systems and a Lucene index engine for searching and filtering millions of assets, just like websites like LinkedIn and Wikipedia. Elvis's back-end technology makes it easy to implement and scale. The Elvis server runs on Mac, Windows, and Linux operating systems, and its processing server, the one that does things like render screen previews of your various media types, will run on Mac OS and Linux. Elvis DAM also now supports multi-volume, multi-storage device file stores, so that one Elvis file store can be spread across multiple storage devices in different locations. So that's a little bit about Elvis's back-end technology. Now let's take a look at some of the most important features. Elvis is an attractive and easy-to-use DAM system. This means it requires minimal user training and is quickly adopted by users where it's installed. And this is important because what's the point of investing in a DAM system if no one wants to use it? What a user sees in Elvis DAM will depend on what user rights and permissions they've been granted by the administrator. You can make the UI as simple or as robust as you wish for any individual or group of users. In this example, I see the full Elvis DAM UI of the sort I'd assign to power users of the system. Here I have some assets I've retrieved after doing a simple search. In the right-hand column there are various panels containing metadata fields. Elvis ships with about 400 metadata types, and they're customizable in order to be optimized for your needs. On the left are taxonomies. Taxonomies are hierarchical categorizations of content that can be applied to your assets. In the same way a nested folder structure can describe a path from the general to the specific, taxonomies enable you to apply as many hierarchical classifications to your assets as you wish, and of course it's easy to import pre-existing taxonomies or create your own. Next I'm going to perform a simple search in Elvis and then filter the results. First by kind, I want to see just images, and then by metadata tags, in this case blue and towel. When you search on one or more terms in Elvis, you're searching all the metadata fields and tags, the taxonomies, folder structures, and document text content. All of that information is indexed by Elvis and searchable. You can also create complex Boolean searches in Elvis. You can do things like time and date math as well to find, for example, InDesign layouts that have a specific status assigned and been modified within the last 2 hours. Complex and specialized search queries can be saved and distributed to other users who can have libraries of canned, predefined queries optimized for their particular work. By the way, these queries can also be used by administrators to determine user access to different asset types within the Elvis system. Getting assets into Elvis is easy. I'm going to do a manual upload of some possible cover images that I want to have an editor review. I hit the import button and then either drag and drop or use the add button to select the images I want to upload. The folder into which I want to import the images is already selected, so I won't change that. I also have the option of taking the imported images and creating a collection out of them. A collection in Elvis is a distinct entity in the Elvis file store. It's a shell or container that you can use to associate any collection of files that you wish. You can also apply metadata to the collection as well. In this case, I'm creating a new collection, calling it December Cover Review, which I will then use to share the images with the reviewer. Then I hit the Finish button to complete the import. Now, what I'm showing you here is a manual import process, but of course Elvis can be automated to import massive amounts of files from your legacy storage systems for archiving in Elvis DAM. I'm going to double-click on the collection now just to view the assets in the collection. I hit the Share button at the top of the app window to open the Share dialog, in which I create an email for the person or persons whom I want to give access to the images. I enter a message and then also set an expiration date for the Elvis link I'm going to send in the email. I then set the permissions for the reviewer. I'm going to enable them to view the image previews, download the high-res files, ask them to approve the assets, and then enable upload if they have any additional images they want to add to the mix. If I enable upload rights, I also need to set an upload folder to receive any new incoming files. When I'm finished with the setup, Elvis generates an email that contains my message and the link to the image collection. When the recipient clicks on the link, an Elvis client opens up in their browser so they can perform their tasks. They can approve or reject images, enter comments, and then upload additional files if they wish. Across the top of the display, you can see the different buttons enabled based on the rights I assigned in the Share dialog. At this point, I can download image previews, high-res versions, upload new images, or, if I have it installed locally, launch the full Elvis desktop client. Suppose I've got a bunch of PSD files and I need a JPEG version for web or mobile publishing. If I right-click on the image thumbnail, I can choose the Download Image As command. This brings up a dialog box that gives me options for the file format and size of the converted image. Now I'm going to show you another way to share assets for review and approval, and this is something new in Elvis DAM 4. Here I've got a collection of images that I want the customer to review. The customer could be located anywhere in the world, with or without Elvis DAM on their site. It doesn't matter. I can share this collection with them on their iPad using the Elvis Review app now available on the Apple App Store. The Review app can only browse collections that have been assigned to the user. So when I log in, I see this new collection that's been given to me for review and comment. I can view previews, zoom in and out, apply star ratings, approval or rejection, and add comments to the assets. As you can see, the asset metadata in Elvis updates immediately when modified by the reviewer on their iPad. Elvis Review is a great and convenient way to collaborate with colleagues or customers anywhere in the world. The new Elvis web client is an alternative to the desktop client, made for content consumers, not managers. It's lightweight, easy to use, and fully brandable so you can deliver content to both internal and external users. In the web client, a user can search with basic search terms, filter with a tag cloud, browse through folder structures, preview, and download assets, but all based on the permissions assigned to that user. Finally, let's take a quick look at the new integration of Elvis DAM with Woodwing's Enterprise Publishing System. The full Elvis DAM client is now available as an integrated application in Content Station, the dashboard application for working with the enterprise system. If I need images for an article, I locate them with a search query in Elvis and then drag and drop them into an article dossier in Content Station. By default, Elvis doesn't duplicate the asset in the enterprise system. It creates a link to the asset still in the Elvis file store. If you're in a situation where you actually need to duplicate the asset because it's going to be modified once it's in enterprise, then you can use an export to enterprise command instead. This can be configured so that someone with necessary user rights can choose to copy the asset in enterprise, not just create a link. When you're finished working with content in Enterprise and it's time to archive it for possible reuse and repurposing at a future date, all you need to do is apply the status of Send to Archive to an asset in Content Station. In this case, I'm applying it to an InDesign layout that's been published. The Elvis plugin can be scheduled to scan Enterprise for content marked for archiving at predetermined times. In this case, it will archive not only the InDesign document, but also all the linked content that was used in the document. The links are preserved and visible on Elvis DAM. When I view the links in an InDesign file or PDF, double-clicking on the link thumbnail takes you to that asset. And when viewing that asset, the Links panel shows all of the documents in which that asset was used. What if you've got article content that's in the dossier but not used in the InDesign layout? If you want everything in the dossier archived, just apply the Send to Archive status to the dossier, and then Elvis will archive everything in the dossier.